Hey everyone, Lianne Bridges here. I'm the founder of Designing Transformation and the Human Potential Network, and I'm so excited to be interviewing Kosta here today. Kosta is the founder or co-founder of Uplifted Life, and he really works with executives, C-suite individuals, and leaders to help them align, thrive, and uplift their life so that they could reach their potential and contribute in the maximum way possible. So, welcome, Costa. Thanks so much for joining me today.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. This is gonna be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I love, what you bring to the workplace is fun, the fun place. And that's one of the things that you talk about and how you can be more productive and so forth. Maybe we'll get into that. But before, so can you
Sure.
talk a little bit about the work you do, maybe just a bit of how you got into that work?
Well, I mean, the way that I got into it was purely by fluke. By fluke, to be really honest with you, I think the work came and got me rather than me moving towards the work. Um, but my intention behind everything that I do is to bring my our clients to their fullest potential. And what I mean by fullest potential is to be a conscious leader, a conscious executive, a conscious human being that serves. But in order to do that, you have to go within, figure out who you are, move past some of the contractions that you might have in place, some of the blockages, so you can show up the best version of you. So the people that we work with are some amazing leaders, visionaries from all over the world. I've been blessed in so many ways. It's incredible. I think I learn just as much, if not more, than what I share. But these human beings are people that know that they're here to have an impact. They want to have a positive impact. They care about who they are as they show up. They care about their teams. They care about the human component. So there's something inside of them that says, yes, we want to go towards our vision. There's something that's inside of them that is move towards achieving some end goal, but how they go towards doing that is really what's important for them. Is who am I as I'm showing up? Am I the best version of me in terms of my energy, my mood, the way that I communicate with the people that I lead, the people that are with me on this journey? And they really care about bringing the best out of them. And so I get to work with some amazing human beings that really deeply care. And that is that's the magic component. It's like there's human beings there that care, and they want to elevate not only themselves, their company, but the people within the company. And at the same time, they want to make a profound impact on making the world a better place. So how
I was
privileged
gonna,
am I to work with
yeah.
some amazing people, some conscious human beings that want to show up in the best way possible. And so
And I
that's
wanted
what I do.
that's amazing. I wanted to ask you the question, which I think
Yep.
you totally answered. I just want to confirm with you, what is
Yep.
conscious leadership? What is conscious business? Everything you said till now, to me, that sounds like how you would define being conscious, like core of caring and how they show up in the
Yep.
world and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah. And the impact that they're having, the ripple effect. So, who am I as I'm moving towards my objective? Who am I? How am I showing up? How is my energy having an impact on other people? Is the way that I show up contracting them, opening them up? Am I someone that, with the way that I communicate, weighs down people? Am I uplifting people? Hence the, uplifted life. But how am I showing up? So, in order for me to be the best leader possible, first and foremost, I have to lead myself. I have to know, I have to be self aware. How am I showing up? And I have to care about that because the way that I show up does have a profound ripple effect. So if
Mhm.
I want the best out of people, I can't show up as someone that is always aggressive, tight, heavy, distracted, fragmented, because that's going to have a ripple effect on the people that I'm leading, the people that I care about the most, my extended family. So something that we talk about often with my clients, that you have the personal and professional life is just one thing. You have a family that you call, this is my family, but then you have an extended family called your company, your employees, the people that you work with, your team. You have to show up caring for them as well. And when you manage to show up in that way, really, where you really honestly and authentically care about the people that you work with, and you care about your clients, and you care about the culture, and you care about the environment that you are creating, that is what I call a conscious leader.
Awesome. Do you find that people will come to you when they're in a state of they're already aware that they want that, they care, they want to care more? Or do you find that they've done maybe more unconscious work and leadership and they realize it's not working for them anymore? Which do you find more, both maybe?
I think, I think it's a little bit of both. They're going to, most of our clients are going to come through word of mouth. It's like, work with these guys. These guys are different. And so that has been a blessing to kind of have, people find us because of the work that we do and how we do the work. Something inside of them is saying that there has to be a better way. Either they've reached some sort of fork in the road that says, we've accomplished, or I've accomplished so much as an entrepreneur, as an executive, as a leader, but the price I pay to get to where I am right now isn't the price that I expected to pay. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your family, maybe it's time away from the things and the people that you value. Something has left you with this feeling that something inside of you is missing. And and that you're open that possibly there's a different way, a better way moving forward.
Yeah.
So they will hear about us, and so they will reach out. Sometimes they are in that position where they're scaling. So they know that the best way to move forward is in a caring, human, loving, compassionate, empathetic kind of way. But how do we do that when our company is in the midst of growing to the next level? We're a small company or a medium-sized company. We are being called to grow. How do you do that with 200 employees or 2,000 employees? How do you create that kind of culture when we have so many moving parts? So we will come in and help their leadership group put that culture into place. And it always begins with that leader. It always begins with moving from a place of distraction, internal fragmentation, to a place of wholeness. So they find themselves, they anchor themselves, they provide themselves that space. So like that, they can bring that into the workplace. You can't create something on the outside unless you're able to create it on the inside. So in essence, that's the work that we do.
Awesome. And how do you do that work? Do you do it in like trainings and coaching and large groups, small groups, one-on-one, or all of the above?
All of the above, but it begins really one person at a time. If you really think about it, an organization is a collective of individuals and a collective of conscious beings with the ability to make choices. So the choices that they make, the actions that they take is going to be the byproduct of that is going to be the results that we see when we're measuring. So I begin with the people that have the most amount of impact and influence. So the people, let's just say at the position where either they are the president of the company, the vice president, but they have to care about this. So I really start at, this is your company, this is your baby. What's your vision? How are you going to show up in the best way possible, and have that reflected within the organization? Once we've implanted that seed that the best way going forward is the most compassionate, the most caring, the most loving, the most giving, the most balanced, the most aligned way, then that filters down to the rest of the company. It's a direction that the company truly wants to move towards. So we start there, and then it trickles down to the people that have the most amount of impact, the most amount of influence. They show up differently. And the byproduct of that is just goes, that ripple effect is quite profound. So it reaches the organization from top down.
It's interesting because this is one of the challenges I've heard a lot in organizations where, I might work with a company that's a division of a larger company. That happens in my career a lot of times. And that division head may have the vision to do that. Or it could be a division within a division, and then, but above them, whether it's the board of directors or, the CEO or whatever, may or may not have that vision, or the people, quote unquote, below them, one level down, their senior leaders, some might embrace it and some don't. And, I think to me, it's a lot about that ripple effect. Can you talk a little bit about how you deal with that? Because everyone's not always, even though one person, even ahead of a company, is going that direction, not necessarily the other people are seeing the benefit of it. How do you work with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we always talk about closed clams and open clams. You do not try and close. You do not try and open a clam that's closed. So the clients, I know this might sound like a little bit woo-woo, but the clients that found us, that find us, that are attracted to us, that flow our way, are people that are they understand.
Mm-hmm.
This makes total sense to them when we begin explaining what we do, how we do it, what our intention is, what the byproduct of our work is, what the end result is. They are like, yes, we need this. So there's a buy-in right from the beginning with a significant amount of the people within the company. If there's no buy-in, if they are not interested, then they're not interested. We're not there to convince anyone.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a certain percentage of people within the organization that are open to doing things differently, we call them soft skills, but it's really human skills. Like, yeah. So you can have a bunch of people that are very skillful in what they do, but if those skills and that knowledge is not packaged in a human being that cares, that is grounded, that is aligned, that has the ability to emotionally regulate, that is coming from a deeper why. If you don't have that within the organization, well, then you're going to have a problem. That's a lot of the friction that the organizations are finding themselves in right now. Mm-hmm. So, but when a company has a significant amount of people that are open and they care about this type of work or becoming the best version of themselves, and they understand what that really, really means, then we work with the people that are open, and then the results speak for themselves. Mm-hmm. There's less turnover, more engagement, less absenteeism. The culture is one that is playful and light. People are, when they're more open, they're more creative, they're more caring, they're more trusting. They want to play with each other. So the environment and the results speak from themselves. Mm-hmm. So then you have the other people within the organization that are like, I'm not really interested in this. I don't think I need the coaching. We want to do it our way or another division. They're going to see the impact that we're having within this division or within this team. And most of them are going to say, okay, like, let's give these guys a shot. It's working here. Yeah. So this is a really good question, because when we offer our services, one of the things that's really important is this cannot be pushed on your employees. They either want to work with us or they don't. There's an openness there. Yeah. That openness is everything. Yeah. So they understand that when we come in, the employees or the people, they want to work with us. Mm-hmm. They want to play. They want to engage. This is not something that's pushed on them by the organization. And something that's really important is I make sure that the organization, the leaders within the organization or the president of the company, that this service is for the person that's in front of me. I'm 100% dedicated to the well-being of that person. And I'm not going to report back, saying this, that, or the other. This has to be 100% confidential. Yes. Because we work not only with the professional, but with the human being that's in place. And so the human being has other hats that they wear. They're a mother, they're a father, they're a son, they're a daughter, they're a member of their community. And the way that they navigate through all those roles that they play and hats that they wear has an impact on the way that they show up in the professional world. So there is no difference. You're a CEO, CFO, CBO. It doesn't really make a difference. You're a human being. You're a mom, you're a dad, you're a son, you're a daughter. You're going to face all of these things that every human being faces. And if you don't know how to navigate these, what we call, shitstorms or life challenges, that contraction will penetrate into the work that you do, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So it's a holistic approach. I'm not there to make the person a better CEO. I'm there to get them to become a whole human being, where they know how to emotionally regulate when they're coming from a deeper space, that have a deeper why. So it really is helping the person remove all the obstacles that prevents them from connecting with the deepest version of who they are. And that's the best version of who they can be. And from there, let's see how we can use your skill sets, your knowledge, your experience to serve the mission of the company or the vision of the company or the people within your team. So it's a very human approach. And if they're not interested, they're not interested. We're not there going and get clients. The clients know what they sign up for when they begin to work with us.
Yeah. It's great. There's quite a few things there that you talked about that I wanted to dive into. The
Yep.
first one is that the kind of the volunteer approach or the openness. What I found is a bit of a challenge when I started doing this work in corporate, bringing, the work that I was doing one-on-one with, kind of consumers out there and bringing it into the corporate world, was that any kind of training or coaching was like traditionally seen as mandatory, pushed on people, and that it's whoever's paying ultimately has rights over it. And that was
Right.
one of the kind of things I had to do at the beginning too. Say, listen, this is, as you said, between me and your employee. The
Yep.
information never goes up, and it's really only the leaders that get that I can work with, right? And it's
Exactly.
the same thing with you. And then
Yeah.
they see that, and then if I've provided training for, let's say, a larger group of people, I always insist that it's voluntary,
Mhm.
because there are people that there's nothing worse as someone's in a kind of self-leadership training. It's all about themselves, and they haven't opted in for it, and they're sitting there like this. It's like the closed clam, as you said. There's
Yep.
nothing worse, and that it's a long-term thing where over time maybe some of their colleagues have done it, and then they start to see it. I had one
Mm.
client in particular who was very, there was a woman in her 50s, and she was in operations, and so most of her life was very kind of what I would call, like you were saying, skill based and operational and left brain. And she, I think, felt she should do it, even though she volunteered to do it. She felt, okay, well, it's being offered to me, I'll do it. And I could feel, though she didn't do this, I could feel this, and she
Mhm.
told me afterwards that that's how she felt, quite the way through. But there was a point where she broke through, she stayed with it, committed to it, and went deeper. And she said it was the most profound training. I'm sure you've heard this many times.
Yeah,
Most profound
definitely.
training she's ever had. So she's in her 50s, gone through all sorts of training before, but because it was with her and her individual and about, as you were saying, her life and the things
Right.
that she's never thought about that block her from her work, but also block her in other parts of her life, and not ever seeing the connection between the two because they
Yep.
show up differently. What might
Mhm.
be a father who is domineering becomes a boss who you have to set boundaries with or something, and they don't see the connection between those two things. So I've kind of addressed quite a few of the things you said, but I wonder if you have any other comments about that.
No, I think right on point. Many times we're gonna when a coaching service is pushed on an employee, there's a lot of cynicism there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like, oh yeah, here we go again. There's another coaching. Here we're gonna get coached. There's gonna be brainwashing. We're gonna be manipulated.
Yeah.
This is really not for me. This is
The
for the company.
information
They
goes
just want
back to the boss.
Yeah, the information goes back to the boss. They want to make sure that we're more motivated so we get more done so they can milk us for all it's worth.
Yeah.
And, you know, um, that's a boundary for sure. But I think once they get to spend a little bit of time, again, it's that level of openness. I just want you to be open
Yeah.
and come in. And if this is not for you, if you don't feel it, if we don't resonate, then it's fine.
Yeah.
But when the other human being on the other side of that coaching recognizes that you're a human being too, and you really, really deeply care about serving them and bringing value to their life, not value to, you know, so they can become a better
Yeah.
employee. Like that's not really what I'm out, what I'm about. I really care about serving the human being that's in front of me, so they can become the best version of themselves, more peaceful, more happy, more clear, more connected, healthy. Um, all of that stuff. Like I deeply care about that person. If that person feels it, and then there's a level of trust. I'm really there. I'm really there for them.
Yes.
And they happen to be a CFO, they happen to be a CEO, they happen to be a president of the company, but I don't really care about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a human being. That's a role that you play. You have a bunch of skills, you have a bunch of knowledge, experience that's inside of you, and you're putting it, you're bringing that within this company. Hopefully you care about the company, you care about its mission, its vision, the people that are within the company. But I really care about the human being.
Yeah.
I care about how you feel. I care about how you show up. I care about how engaged you are. Are you inspired? Are you even in the right place? Are you doing the things that you want to do? Because if you're not, then not only is that a disservice to you, but it's a disservice to the company.
Yes.
Has the company, I mean, this is a big one. I don't know if you find this, but has the company done a really good job in clarifying and communicating their vision? Because sometimes, believe it or not, no.
Yeah.
I mean, the employees and even the people in at the top of the pyramid, they're just in the grind. They've lost their vision. Oh, that's another reason why they're going to hire us. It's like, okay, we've kind of lost our way. There's a misalignment here. Why are we doing what we're doing? We're just grinding it out. It's the hustle. It's the day-to-day. They feel that they're stressed out, which basically means you're operating from that limbic brain. You're just going about things, but you've lost your way, and that there's something missing. So one of the things that we clarify right away is, do you really know where you're going and why? From top down, who do you want to become as you're moving towards your vision? What is that vision? Where is it coming from? Is it a superficial egocentric vision, or is it coming from something deeper? And so, have you done a really good job of transmitting that into the company clearly? So your people, inside the culture, so your people can be inspired. Have you done a really good job? And so when the other human being on the other side of the conversation, or when I'm working with a group, when they can know that I'm there for them, like I really am. And I tell this so everybody understands. It might be that the person that I'm working with, after a little while, decides that this is not the place for them. And the owner of the company has to say, okay, because I want the best for that human being. And if they're there because they just feel like they need to be there, but their heart and their soul, and they're inspired to go somewhere else, but they're just staying here because of fear or convenience, I don't want to, hold on to someone that doesn't want to be here. And I have to have the faith and the knowing that if I let this person go, if this person leaves, someone is going to come and take their place that's really going to want to be here. And so if you want to attract the best people out there, you have to become the best company out there. And now more than ever, we're seeing that everybody is, freaking out because they can't find, human resources. They can't, everybody's struggling to find good people or just people. So the way that you're going to, just people, but the way that you're going to attract the best people is making sure that you're polishing yourself to be the best organization. So, which means a clear vision that's coming from something deeper. What are you serving with your vision? Is it just self-serving, or do you want to serve something greater once you reach your objectives? Because that's what's going to inspire your people to belong to an organization that wants to contribute to something bigger. Is that clearly articulated within the company? If not, then you're motivating people, but you're not inspiring people.
Yeah.
So do you have a clear why? And if you don't, let's work on that. So
you would do the why, the kind of purpose as well.
100%. We begin there.
Okay.
We will not take on a client who really doesn't care about making a bigger impact.
Yeah.
If a client just says, oh, we just want to get the numbers up, we want to do this, it's all about them. And there's no openness to, okay, so what if you get there? What if you hit your objectives? Then what? Are you just going to consume, or will you be in a position to contribute to making the world a better place? Like that is really important for me, because those are the people that I really want to work with. People that care about the impact that they're having, their legacy.
And they're the ones, what are you? Yeah, and they're also the ones that are going to benefit from your approach, because as you were saying before, working with the individual and making that, supporting that person to be the best they are, whether they leave, they stay, they need another job within the organization, who knows, maybe they ask for more money, whatever it might be, that if it's those leaders that really understand and totally have the faith in, when you do that work, that you get a team that's the best, and then that best team produces the best and has the most fun and is most engaged and stays the longest, attracts more people. When you really believe that, it's the other ones that are in fear that, well, I might lose. If you talk to them about, what's possible for them, the employee, well, they might leave. And it's that
Mhm.
really old mindset that needs to shift right now, right? It's
Exactly.
to really create that place to be a sought after workplace.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're just grinding through just for a paycheck, and you get not nearly their potential and your own potential out of that environment.
100%. It's a paradigm shift.
Yeah,
And the people that we serve are the people that are on the cusp. They know that there's a better way,
yeah,
or they are already in it, but they want to make it more effective or efficient and bring it down to the rest of the organization.
yeah.
So we have multinational companies that are doing it in one part of the country, but now want to implement this somewhere else. And so we come in there and facilitate that process. But there has to be this openness. There
Mm-hmm.
has to be um, a wanting of doing something better,
Yeah.
becoming better, so you can serve better, and that deep sense of care. And if that's not there, then they're not our clients. They're not going to listen to us. I mean,
Awesome.
so
So, what would you say, maybe a number one or two kind of main issues that leaders are facing today in particular?
um, well, I think they have to be psychologists at the same time. I mean, that
Yeah.
understanding human beings, so understanding themselves. I think the the number one obstacle is that they're human, and they are dealing with the rapid pace of life, the go go go, the many distractions, the fears and the insecurities that come along with just being a human, and the different hats that they're wearing. And we are living in a world, like I said, that's coming at you a million miles an hour. And if you haven't learned or practiced how to create that space internally and externally, um, you will pay the price for that. Leading from a place of contraction, a place of when there's no space. When there's stimulus and you're just reacting, 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 reacting. You come back home, it's the same thing. There's no space outside. There's no space inside. You're just showing up and you're going through the motions. That basically means that your body and brain are running away from lions and tigers.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how long can you run that way? How long can you keep that up? And so that's going to impact your health. That's going to impact your digestive system. That's going to impact the way that you sleep. But it's also going to impact your ability to be creative, think out of the box, to communicate the way that you would communicate if you did have that space. So I would probably say the number one obstacle is that lack of space, because the world is what it is. We haven't developed the practices or the the practices to be able to kind of take that step back. And there's going to be stimulus, there's things coming, but there's that space. And then how can I respond in the best way possible?
Mm-hmm.
And so that space is crucial. So I think that's the number one thing that we see, is that lack of space, either within the organization, because it's just go, 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 but inside their own state of being. So we
And
teach that
that's
as
what I was
well.
gonna.
So
Can you elaborate a little bit more on kind of your approach to that without giving all the details that you do? Just
no, it's just knowledge. So you provide people with data that allows them to see that, yeah, you're absolutely right. Sometimes I'm going to sit in front of a person and I'm going to say, so are you stressed out? How are you dealing with stress? I'm fine. Like, oh, stress doesn't bother me. But you look at their jawline, they're always clenching. Their face is always serious. Their shoulders are up and they're tight. No, actually, if you take a couple of seconds, breathe deeply and tune in, you're going to realize that you're stressed. A lot of people don't know that they're operating from the stress response. They are so conditioned and to see that this is normal. This is the normal me, because they don't have this and that, this or that. It's like,
yeah,
oh my God, what are you talking about? I'm perfectly fine. I was like, actually, no, you're not. Let's try and concentrate. So one of the first things that we do to kind of make the point is like, okay, for the next 5 minutes, we're going to close our eyes. We're going to sit, very comfortably. And what I want you to do is pay attention to your breath. So, just a simple breath, mindfulness practice. 4 seconds in from the nose, 4 seconds out of the mouth. And just whenever your mind wanders, come back. After 10 minutes or 5 minutes, they're like, oh my God, I couldn't even do that.
yeah,
Or deep belly breathing. Can you breathe from the abdomen? It's like, I can't breathe from the abdomen. When I breathe from the abdomen, I feel like
breathing
I'm
like
going to
this.
choke. Yeah, we're breathing from the upper, exactly from the upper chest. So it's little content, like data that we give them to say, like you see, you're not as optimal as you think that you are. There is a better way. And they begin to see that, like, you're absolutely right. I'm always in my head. I'm always overwhelmed. I am stressed because I feel it in my belly now that you kind of mentioned it, but I'm so tuned out that I've lost connection with my body. I've lost connection with my breath. I'm always top heavy. I'm always stuck in my mind. It's my normal, but it's not normal actually. And so slowly but surely we kind of make the point that there is a better, there is a better way that's going to make you feel better. That's going to make you become much more creative, much more inspirational, more playful, happier, healthier. You want to go for it? And they're like, yeah, I really want to go for it. So it's just simple things, simple things. It's to allow people to understand that when we are operating from the stress and survival response, there is no way that I can show up fully for you. I'm always showing up there by what's in it for me. That stress inside of me puts me in that self-protecting mode. And as much as I want to be loving and caring, if the right trigger comes, I'm going to go back to what's in it for me. And I'm going to deal with the situation from that stress response, which will not be the best way of dealing with that situation. So we do very simple practices, breath work, meditation, mindfulness. Get them to practice that during the day and take notes and say, okay, like today, can you go into your day, whether it be a professional day or a personal day, and be fully absorbed in what you're doing? So if you are making lunch for the kids or making breakfast for the kids, can you practice making breakfast fully and not letting your mind go to the million and one things that you need to do after breakfast is done? And just start those little practices where they're becoming more conscious of saying, you know what, I'm actually, my body's here, but I'm somewhere else. And slowly but surely, we kind of bring them back. And that feels really good. And they're going to report back, oh my God, I can breathe so much, better. I'm happier. I'm more relaxed. And so the proof is in the pudding. You just bring it up to them and say, hey, maybe there's another way of going about things. And then you let them learn through experiential learning. It's like, oh my God, you're absolutely right. I want more of this.
That's, it's kind of my curiosity is, often when you're in that state and you don't quite realize it, or you don't realize quite the impact that you're having on yourself and the world around you, a lot of times executives, especially busy people, won't invest the time or money in doing what's needed for themselves. And I'm wondering how you deal with clients. Obviously, clients are coming to you. They got to the point where maybe their life's not manageable. They're looking for something more. But how do you overcome that? Well, I don't have the time. My employees don't have the time, or we don't have the money. Or do you have to deal with that very much as an entrepreneur working with these people?
I think the biggest obstacle is trying to convince someone that may be partially open that there is a lighter way of going about things, meaning that you can be very effective and you don't have to be running around like a madman or like a mad person, that there is a better way. And the best way to kind of point that out is to show them the shortcomings of just run, busy, go, do. And there's just things that you can point out that the person's going to say, well, you know what? I thought that being stressed or being always on the edge brings me to the best version of myself where I get a lot done. But hearing it and you connecting those dots for me, educating me, yeah, you're absolutely right. There's no way. I'm just kind of convincing myself that this is the best way to go because I don't know of any other way. And so I just invite and say, hey, let's try this and report back how effective and efficient you become in all aspects of your life. Are you a better parent when you're able to take that time? So once they see that it really is working, then they're like, okay, well, slowing down doesn't necessarily mean giving up on, moving towards our objectives. We're actually going to become more effective. So one of the examples that I give to just kind of make the point is like, I can take a Honda Civic and we can go on the highway every day for the next 6 months, 150 kilometers to get to point A to point B every single day. And Honda, that little Honda Civic with the 4-cylinder engine is going to get me to where I want to go. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I made it from point A to point B and I've been doing it. So But if you take the internal, the internal components of that car, the engine, the transmission, the shocks, the brakes that are being taxed at that point to get to 160 every single day. And then you take BMW or V8 or V6 or a car with a bigger motor, it's going to go on that highway. It's going to do exactly what you're asking to do. The output will be the same, but the internal friction is much less, just because that motor is set up, that car is set up to be able to do those speeds without the internal friction. So it's not about sacrificing the output. It's about learning how to get to that output with the least amount of friction. And if they're open to that, if they kind of understand, we have been getting to where we want to go, but the price that we've been paying, we don't want to pay this anymore. Yeah. So again, how do they know? Well, because you're stressed, you're not having fun anymore. So if I'm talking to a president of the company, it's like, okay, are you really having fun? Like, if you're having fun, then amazing. But be honest, are you having fun? Are you enjoying? Yeah. Have you gotten to where you want to be, sacrificing all the things that, knowing what you know now, you might not have sacrificed? Are you enjoying the fruits of your labor? Are you the person that you want to be right now? Because you didn't get into this thing called business, being an entrepreneur, to suffer every single day, or to live with stress and anxiety and this internal hunger and go, go, go. That doesn't sound so fun. That sounds kind of like hellish, where you can't relax. There's always something to do. It's always a grind. It's like, really, is this the reason why you got into entrepreneurship? It can't be. You got into entrepreneurship because you want to make an impact on something. Are you making an impact? Well, yes and no. Okay. Are you having fun? Do you feel sovereign? Do you feel free? Or do you feel like your business now is actually your prison? Yeah. Or when you went towards this position of becoming a leader within the organization, you thought that all these beautiful things were going to come with it. I mean, the salary was one thing, but there's much more to life than just money. So are you enjoying yourself? Are you bettering yourself as a human being? Do you feel open? Do you feel light? Do you feel inspired? Is this position that you're taking on has brought you to the best version of yourself? Or are you always like this? And if not, well, then perhaps there's a different way of going about things. You might not be, you might be operating like a Honda Civic. Let's make you into a BMW. Not that there's anything wrong with a Honda Civic. Yeah. It's just like there's a better way of being that's going to tax you much less, and it's going to make you more effective.
Very good. And you mentioned earlier about, kind of one of the challenges that we're having right now with trying to attract people, keep good employees, that type of thing. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because that seems at every level of organizations and every industry, that is a big deal. We don't have to get into the why that's happening unless it really relates to, kind of leadership and culture and so forth. But you just kind of touched on a little bit of some of the work that you do will help to, create that great workplace that will then, attract, retain great people as well. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think once you, so a model that we use is the 6 human psychological needs. So once you understand what a human being, what makes them tick. So for example, so these are the 6 that we share. It's certainty is at the top of the food chain, meaning that a person's going to feel their best or they're going to perform when there's a certain amount of certainty. So if you're working within an organization where there's a lot of uncertainty, nobody knows where they're going, there's no feedback, everything, it's supposed to be an organization, but they're highly disorganized. There's no, like I said, there's no feedback, there's no communication. It feels like it's not a safe space. That's not going to bring out the best in you. And so an organization needs to work towards bringing the most amount of certainty possible. Business itself, the market itself, is uncertain to begin with. Now, if your space is highly uncertain, and creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear and a lot of tension and a lot of stress, well, you're not going to keep your people there for a very, very long time. And you're going to gain a reputation in the market that says, you might not want to go work for these guys. It's a crazy place. It's a chaotic place. So you have to work really, really hard in becoming clear in terms of, are you providing a safe space? Are you giving, so again, start with the vision. When people have a clear vision, they know why they're here. They're inspired to be here. Now we can say, if this is our vision, well, these are the things that are going to connect the dots to get us from where we are to where we want to be. And we clearly articulate that, in our teams. That gives a certain level of certainty for the employee, for the person that's in there. They know where they're going, they know why they're going, and therefore they can see clearly some of the potential steps. That's a very good place to be. Now, number two is uncertainty. We need a certain level of uncertainty. If everything is exactly the same, cookie cutter day, groundhog day, every single day, you're going to get bored. So you're going to get that level of disengagement. So there's two levels, there's two ways that people are going to disengage. They're going to disengage because they're highly stressed. So they have to distract themselves because the stress is too high. So they're going to disengage, or they're going to disengage because they're bored. It's repetitive. They're not being given the trust that they would want to have to take on some projects, to fail and to come back and say, it's okay, try it again. It's not a big deal. So to have those two in place is extremely important. Certainty and uncertainty, they go hand in hand. You want to be able to navigate the middle ground of certainty and uncertainty. Too much certainty, now we have a place where it's so structured that you feel like it's too much uncertainty, it's chaotic. Number three is recognition. Everybody wants to belong. It's a human need. I want to know that you see me. I want to know that you value me, that you care about me. And so one of the things that we put into practice is you need to get to know your people, especially now when most of us are working through a computer screen. It's like, I don't want to get to just know the role that you play and your name. I really want to get to know you and what's going on in your life. And that's going to take 5-10 minutes more per day, per conversation or per meeting. But I really want to know what's going on with you. What are some of your interests? What are some of your challenges? What's going on in your home life? The moment that you see that you are being recognized and seen and valued and cared for, and it is not a technique, it's like, genuinely, I really want to get to know you. And is there something that I can do to facilitate things? Is there something that I can do to help you? And it's genuine. You feel safe. There's something inside of you that says, man, you know what? This is a really darn good company to work for. They really care. I know that I'm part of the solution here. I'm just not a number. And you can create that within a small organization, a medium organization, or a large one. It's a myth that says, no, you can't work this way when you have 2,000 employees. Yes, you can. You really, really can. Because we have worked with individuals that know every employee by name and their kid's name. You just have to care and make it a priority. Now, imagine me showing up as your leader, and leader is a big word anyways. I hate it, but it is what it is, But if I show up and I genuinely care about you and I ask about your kids and you ask about mine, at the end, we're two human beings within this thing called a business or an organization. Hopefully we care about the vision and the outcome. So you and me are working together. It's really important to connect human to human. So that's number three. Number four is to feel like, again, it actually bleeds into 3 and 4 are also combined, to feel that I'm part of something bigger. I'm part of my tribe. This is my extended family. It's not just my workplace. Even the word work, I'm going to work, labor. Like, come on, seriously? Like, work? I want to go to a place where I'm contributing my skill sets, my knowledge, my expertise. I want to bring this into a place that I really care about and they care about me. They care about the human being. And I'm inspired to give you my best. I'm inspired to share my wisdom and my resources or my skill sets or my knowledge. Because I love you guys. I belong to something bigger. So that's number 4. Number 5 is, are you offering, and this is one, where we come in, like, are you offering your people the ability, the opportunity to expand, to evolve? Not just their skill sets.
Yes, exactly.
But to evolve as a human being. It's like, oh, we gave them a course on, I don't know, some sort of computer program. It's like, who cares? Like, nobody cares. It's like, okay, it's fun, it's great. But are you providing them a place where they feel like every time they dip their toe within the culture of that company, they get sourced. They're coming out better. They're learning from each other. There are mentors there that really care about mentoring, people that are being onboarded. So there's a really deep feeling that when I'm working within this organization, I'm going to become a better human being because I belong to this organization, not just a better employee. Then number 6 is, do I have the ability to contribute to something greater? Am I going to be put in positions where I feel like I'm contributing? I'm making a difference. And every difference that you make, every little thing that you bring in is a big deal. Not just the big, the big things that you do, but every single little thing is appreciated. And you're contributing to something greater than you. And that's being acknowledged. So you feel really, really good. If you pay attention, and we take some time, you realize that you feel amazing when you give, when you contribute. So receiving is part of that too, because some people have the hard time. They're givers, but they have a hard time receiving. And that type of giving is coming from a wrong place.
Yes.
You're giving because you need to feel something that's incredibly empty inside of you. So you're giving, but it's not coming from the right place.
Like from wanting acknowledgement or
exactly. Can you see me? Can you see me? Please look at me. Love me. That's not the type of giving that I mean.
Appreciate me.
Thank me. Appreciate me. Right. But if you have the ability to contribute from that really good place, like I have enough. I am so blessed to know what I know, blessed to have what I have, the resources that I have, the experience that I have, the financial means that I have. I want to contribute because it makes me feel darn good. And so if you are an organization and you're able to organize yourself around those 6 human psychological needs, you create a culture around that addresses all of those. Most likely you're going to create a wonderful workplace to work.
That's amazing. Those are great, and I love the way you've outlined them. There's one other that maybe fits in with that Daniel H. Pink talks about in his book Drive, that like the 3 things that motivate. So one of them is, he calls it mastery, which is your kind of evolution part. The other is sense of meaning, which you capture in a couple of them, whether there's a place that has you're part of something bigger, but also you can contribute to. And the third one, he says, is autonomy, having some level of sovereignty, autonomy within the workplace, that you can follow your own goals, your own way of doing things, that it's not so micromanaged. That really, I don't know if you've heard that one.
Yeah. And that would fit in with uncertainty.
Yeah.
Where there's that openness where you can kind of explore and you can, bring out the best in you and you can go on your own path. And so you're given that leeway to kind of just, let's see what you got. And 100%. I couldn't agree more.
That's great. Just 1 or 2 more questions before we wrap up today. I wanted to come back to what you said at the very beginning, which is about play. And you've used the word a few times. So how do you bring that concept, maybe through practices, through teaching or whatever, and what is the importance of play in the workplace, in the play place versus the workplace?
Yeah, I think just not in the workplace. I think we forgot how to play as human beings. I think life has gone to be way too serious. So I think where play becomes obvious, at least to me anyways, is my stay here is short. I don't know when I'm going to check out. So here I am playing this game called life, and with Kosta's and all the bundle of the bundle of thought forms and ideas that make up Kosta, who I am. The reality is my stay here playing this game from this avatar is not going to last forever. And so there are going to be ups and downs and challenging moments in my life just because life is challenging. When life is good, when life is steady as she goes, when there's not a lot of chaos, shouldn't I be playing and enjoying the ride? Because if you realize at least for me in the past, and sometimes when I get triggered now, it's like I sweat the small stuff. I become serious over nothing. Some of my fears and insecurities might seep back in, and you're like, oh, I see you, and so we're not taking the time to truly appreciate being human, being alive, taking in life, enjoying nature. Yeah, we have a career, and a career, right? What is a career? A career is, or my professional life or my company. It's like, okay, so you have a bunch of skill sets and, again, knowledge that you're putting at the service of other people through a product or a service, and you're trying to bring lightness into those people's lives. Right? I mean, that's basically what you're trying to do. And
Very well
where's
said.
the, like where's the jam up there? It's like, it's because we're operating from a not enough, a space of not enough. I can go, deep into that one, but when you're operating from scarcity, my life is not good enough. I need this, I need that. And we live in a society that says, unless you drive this car, unless you own this type of house, unless your body looks like this, unless you have those pairs of jeans, or you're not enough. And so all of a sudden, play, when you're not enough, when it's not enough, you're coming from a space of scarcity. What are you talking about, play? I'm in survival mode. Something is missing. My brain and my body doesn't know whether I'm missing food, shelter, or clothing, or I'm missing the next purse. Yeah. Or if my car isn't the new, or my cell phone isn't the newest one.
Yeah.
And so we are operating from that space of scarcity. And so, well, we have to be serious. And I'm like, okay, but what are you going to be serious about? You know the ending of this game. You're going to croak. You just don't know when.
Yeah.
And you don't know how. In the middle of all that, can you take in some of the goodness of life, some of the beauty that's right there in the simplicity of just being alive? Your family, your kids, your backyard, a plant that's in front of you, the fact that you can breathe easily and, from the nose out from the mouth, that you can actually put in food and taste good and that you digest. Life is a gift. And all of a sudden we've made it into this complicated thing, which is a struggle. You have to sacrifice. You have to do this. So of course you're not going to play if that's your perspective on life. But that's your perspective on life when you're always operating from the stress and survival, that limbic brain. And so if you just take the time to calm yourself down and remove some of that seriousness and just look at the beauty, look at the blessings and the gratitude, be grateful for what you have. Play begins to come back into your life, because you realize that there are no lions and tigers. They're just in your head. Most of this stuff that you're upset about are just little mundane things. How do you know that, this is the truth? Because I kind of say, look, when a real shitstorm comes your way, all the things that you're worried about now, you're not worried about them. Exactly. That's how you know that you've kind of been, looped into worrying and taking things too seriously. So I kind of like, come back into just being a kid again. You didn't start this business to be this serious, tight person. Like, to what end? Like, how many more millions of dollars is going to make you playful if you're not playful now? Like, how many plaques on the wall are you going to need?
Or another skidoo,
another boat, another car. Like I told one of my clients, what do you need 6 cars? You have one ass.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need 6 cars? And you have to sacrifice your time, your attention, your energy, hopefully not your values.
To afford them, exactly.
Well, and to afford them to go. It's like, if you're making so much money, just buy the car that you want. God bless you. Drive it for 6 months, 1 year. If you're bored of it, give it to someone away. Give it away at 50% off to someone that won't be able to buy it at full price. Buy yourself the next one.
Yeah.
Just play.
Yeah, I use kind of the terminology of practicing wonder, being in that childlike state and awe and discovery and connecting to nature and art and all those things that bring us back to that wonder, and it helps us go from worry into wonder, right? Because it is kind of in some way the opposite. I love the way you describe that, being in scarcity, in those lower needs that we're constantly trying to address. When in this day and age, yes, there's craziness going on, but still, compared to our ancestors and how they had to struggle for every single meal to survive to age 20, against all odds, we're in such a different state, yet we seem to be in more survival mode than they were back then, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. And that's something that I tell myself. You don't have the right to show up stressed. Like, you don't have the right to show up stressed, because there's nothing really stressful in your life. When there's something there, stress is an amazing response.
Yeah.
right? But when nothing is happening, it's a dysfunctional
Yeah.
response.
Yeah.
Quit it. And so I kind of look at my life and I say to myself, look, there's so many beautiful blessings. Most of us are very, like, we have food on the table, running water, we have food, shelter, clothing, a couple of people that we can count on. Our health is there, and you're golden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop operating from this place of not enough.
Yeah.
And if you could just manage to create that space and drink that in, most people will understand that. And then it's about practicing and practicing and practicing, coming back into your center. Remember to remember, remember to remember. Just keep on remembering these fundamental truths that you're okay right now. Life is amazing for you. Your brain might tell you a bunch of things. Your society might tell you a bunch of things. But if you just stop and create that space and come back to to that truth, you'll realize that you're blessed in ways that are, I mean, our lives are, we're so blessed and privileged in so many ways. And you don't have to look very far. Just look at another, different countries, I mean, there's chaos everywhere.
Yeah.
And so if I'm privileged to be in this position where there's no major chaos going on, then I need to hold myself accountable of showing up in a way where I'm bringing more flow than friction into the world.
Mm-hmm.
I need to care about that. Becomes my primary purpose, because life is good. I'm blessed. So if I'm good in life and I'm blessed, I need to hold myself to that level of excellence.
Mm-hmm.
We hold ourselves to levels of excellence in the industry. We need to become excellent. Well, yeah, my level of excellence is, how am I showing up? Am I creating more flow? Am I an expression of love and kindness and goodness and generosity? Is that my legacy? Is that an example? Like, is that what I would want my kids to show up as?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what I would want them to show up as in the world, then I have to become that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I owe it to the world. I owe it to the people that I love. I owe it to my surroundings, to the people that I work with, to be this kind, caring, loving, genuine, authentic, giving, peaceful human being.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now there's nothing going on in my life. And if I just notice, like, there's all good stuff here.
Yeah.
So if you are able to enter that space, now that state of being, you bring it into every role that you play. And so you're going to have a profound impact on the people that you love and that are there to help you move towards your vision. If we're talking about business, if you show up that way, man, that's mission accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
They will love you. You will love them. There's going to be this love fest. Everybody's going to care and feel good about each other. One of the things that I share is, if you're going to scale, if you're going to go after your vision, or you're going to scale your company, how about we shape the reason why, from a place of, it's not because we want to make more money. We want to employ more people.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes really playful. It's like, I want to grow my organization because I'm going to feel really amazing and giddy if we can bring in more amazing people and can feed those families.
Mm-hmm.
That's a completely different context.
Or
That's a different
impact with the services or products that we have,
right. Exactly. The people,
our customers' lives, right? Yeah.
Exactly. We are serving another human being on the other end of that service or product. How about making them the priority and saying, you know what, I'm going to get really playful and giddy because I really want to be of service to the people that are buying our service, because we're solving a problem for them.
Yeah.
And that could be just a sandwich. I'm hungry. You make sandwiches. You make sandwiches from the goodness of your heart, and you love making sandwiches, and you can't wait to give me your sandwich. Say, hey, Kosta, here you are. And I take the sandwich from you, and it's imbued with that love and that care and that inspiration to make me happy as I take in your sandwich. We're talking about a whole new type of, exchange between you and I.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool.
And it's really that vision from, I've talked to clients where they're saying, well, my vision is to make money, as you were saying. And then I said, well, you can make money in the stock market. You can make money in real estate. You can make money selling other products and services. Why are you doing this? Why did you start this business? And then when they start to really think about it, because they don't think about that much, they did have it at the beginning. And I can remember one in particular, that the person was a gentleman who started to well up, and he was in the cosmetic and skincare business. He goes, I love seeing the transformation on people, from the physical transformation they get from our products to the emotional, the confidence they get. that's like, and
Yeah.
that's your why, right? You've got so caught up in the business that you're so much
Yeah.
looking at numbers and you forgot the real reason that you got in here, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so important to bring that
Yeah.
back.
We worked with a huge company here in Montreal. I won't name the name, just but I mean they're based out of Montreal, but they're worldwide. And we got called in to work with the three owners from the beginning. And one of the things that they said, which was like amazing to me, they said we lost our way when we became really successful.
Mm-hmm.
When we made the
Yes.
money that we were going after, when we hit our objectives, and we were like, wow, then it was no more play. Our best moments were where when we were creating something and moving toward vision, the moment that we hit it, we kind of forgot how to play. Everything became serious.
Yes.
And they wanted to get back to this, state of play, openness, being of service, bringing value into the world, treating, the company had blown up, and they wanted to bring the same type of culture that they had when there were 200 people to now when there were 2,000 people. But they were conscious. They were conscious enough, to reach out and say, we're not really having fun anymore. We're these three guys that we had a blast building this. And all of a sudden we made the money that we thought that, once we make, we're going to be happy and the world is going to be a better place once we succeed. Now we're realizing that we're not, like, we don't have fun with each other anymore. We're actually turning on each other. The communication between each other is not there. We're actually hanging around less and less, because before they would do everything together. Mm-hmm. And we want to get back to that, to that way of being. Mm-hmm. And so
it's amazing. And one of the things I think is a bit human nature too, whether it's building a business, a home, a relationship, when you're in the creating mode, you're taking way more risks. So then you're more playful, you have more fun. When you kind of achieve what you had wanted to achieve, like maybe you get that partner or you get that house that you love, a lot of stress is in maintaining it, and you go back to that lack. It's like, got to keep it. I find this with my own house, this big house that, was for a larger family and everything. And it's in the woods and everything. But I get that kind of lack. How will I ever get something that I love this much again? So you can picture those partners who then built this thing. Now I have to maintain it, as opposed to what's the next thing? And what if this, does not continue for the rest of humanity the way that I expected it to. So there's a lot of that letting go once you got to where you are, and exactly. That with people, they found someone they love, and then they start to cling on to it and that relationship, and then it just crushes it, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. That level of inspired, creative non-attachment.
Yeah. Yes.
It's can we just play? That's where play is so important. And I mean, that's something that I practice, it's coming back to those basics. We call them back to the basics. And so I remind myself, Kosta, back to the basics. Like, what do you want? What did you ever want? I wanted to be happy. I wanted to have, my health, obviously. I wanted to be surrounded by some amazing people. I wanted to be the best husband that I could possibly be for my wife, and be the best dad for my daughter, and show up for my parents in the best possible way. Like, that's what I really, really wanted. So when you go out and you create the business again, which is one of those words, to bring more of that goodness into your world, and now you're taking it way too serious. It's like somehow you've lost your way. So come back to why you're doing this in the first place. Yeah. And so if I get attached to the house, if I get attached to the car, if I get attached to the end results, or if I get attached to growing to a certain number, then something inside of me is going to contract. Yeah. And that contraction is going to suck the energy, the life force within inside of me. It's going to make me a serious player. And, from that space, nothing good's going to happen. So I always use these fancy little props like this, where I kind of say, this is my fancy props. So, when you're a bundle of contraction, when you're tight like this, nothing good can come in, nothing good can come out. Mm-hmm. So at least let me become self-aware that when I'm like this, I'm misaligned. This is not what I signed up for. And let me take responsibility for being here, because if I say I'm like this because of everybody else around me or because of the environment or whatever, I need to get to a place where I can say, okay, maybe things are the way that they are, but can I respond? Can I become slightly more open and slightly more open? And so, just being self-aware and saying, this is not the best version of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to operate from that space. And if I'm operating from that space, even though that some results are trickling in, I can become so much more effective, so much more efficient, a funner to be around, more fun to be around if I just learn to open up.
Mm-hmm.
Just, and so
Yeah, that's awesome.
non-attachment. Yeah, it's so important.
Surrendering. And I think, we're coming to the end of the time frame. And I thought maybe another time we can talk a little bit more about, some of the deep rooted beliefs and patterns and so forth. So you can listen to, the guidance and so forth. But what I find a lot of times with clients is they've learned things from an early stage, that as much as their mind says they want to do something different, it's such ingrained pattern that they actually have to work through the trauma, the difficult things, the upbringing that they had. They really have to do that deeper work within
Yeah.
themselves. We could talk a little bit more, maybe in another conversation, but just to end it, did you want to say anything about that?
No, I think you're right on point. And this is the interesting, what I find the most interesting is the people that tend to move towards leadership positions or entrepreneur, me being one of them. At the beginning, I had to really check in and say, because I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 23. So all I've known basically is, come out of university, work for a little bit, and then I started my businesses, and then so I've been an entrepreneur. But most of the people that go towards entrepreneurship or rise to the top of an organization, leadership positions, are usually the people that are the most insecure. Mm-hmm. And now it's really interesting when you're telling a bunch of alpha characters that they are where they are because they're highly insecure beings, and they look at you weird. And like, no, well, think about that. Let's break it down. One of the reasons that you went towards becoming the best version of you, to move up the chain of command to get to where you are, is because you wanted more control, right? Yeah. You wanted more control. You wanted that power. You wanted that recognition. So what inside of you wanted that power, or wanted that recognition, or wanted that financial stability that comes with that role, or
it was
has to be a
missing
part
it
of
possibly in childhood and growing up.
Oh, 100%. Like if next time I'll go into a little bit of my history, but when I saw that, it was like, oh my God, like everything that I've created in my life has happened because of my childhood trauma. The things that I didn't have, the things that put me in that fear and scarcity response, I developed ways of coping with that, or not feeling that, by managing the external world.
Yes.
So go get a really good education, become a perfectionist, become someone that always strives for excellence, become someone that's a go-getter. I'm always hungry. I'm the first one in, the last one out. I'm the guy who's going to go and get this. I'm the guy who's going to make that money. You're like, okay, wait a minute. In the back, that's like, in the world out there, it looks really, really good. But if you really take a look at what's animating that, and you're open to doing that, you're going to realize that a lot of what you're doing is coming from a place of insecurity, fear. You're trying to get what you didn't have when you were a kid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's the psychological part. It's like, oh my God, like when you take a look inside, you're like,
Yeah. I love that. I love that work. I kind of like the term "the sacred wound." It's the things that had happened to us that make us all. There's the divine side of it, the good side of it, that makes us perfectionists, excellence, strive, whatever. But under that is the shadow. And what I usually do with clients is kind of like put in a circle that wound, how you can define it, whatever it is, and then say, how does it served you? What are all the things that it's done to help you and who you've become? What are the things that have stopped you and not served you? And can you see those things that need some healing and brought to life? And it comes back to also, a lot of times people will say certain things happen to me, like in my career, then my kids, something happened to them, maybe I became bankrupt, or my kids got into drugs, or whatever it might be, and they think that derailed my career or did this to me. But actually, it's all part of that, the wounding that can turn into that sacred wound, because you can learn from it and bring it back into, as you were saying at the beginning, all the different parts of your life, integrate together. And what I might have learned in having financial difficulty, I can help with a business. Or what I've learned in setting boundaries with kids and helping, listen, or whatever it might be, I can help with my employees. And all these things are not happening to us, they're happening, the universe is happening through us for our greater expansion. So I think that would be great to maybe take as a conversation next time. A little bit going deeper on it, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do it.
awesome.
I would love it. Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, thank you. So as we check off, I just wanted you to kind of say how people can get in touch with you. Your website is upliftedlife.com. Anywhere else anything else you want to shout out, or anything you're working on?
I think upliftedlife.com is a really good place to go. We have a page on Facebook that has some good content there. We'll become more and more active as we move into the fall and winter season there. But yeah, I mean, that's the best place to reach us. And to me, what's in the woodworks? I mean, what are we working on? I'm really feeling called. It's interesting, I've been quiet, meaning quiet, just working with our clients and keeping busy and enjoying life and all the blessings. I've really been blessed in so many ways, and COVID has been a blessing in disguise, because it allowed me to develop a different side to the business, which I don't have to be on a plane flying somewhere or driving around somewhere. And so this has been really fun and empowering and recharging, where I get to work from home, and we've adjusted really, really well. And so I've been quiet in terms of doing podcasts and making videos, and I've just but there's a calling that says, okay, Kosta, like, you need to get more out there. And so I've been invited. It's really interesting, because in the past week I've been invited to 4 different podcasts. So
that's amazing.
The universe or life something says, okay, you got to open up your mouth again, and you got to share with as many people as possible. I really enjoy that. I enjoy just sharing. Like, I don't even consider like I'm teaching, or I just want to bring value from my heart to whoever's heart is open. And if they resonate with what I have to say, if this makes sense to them, then I invite them to work with us or come take a look or have a conversation. But it's really that I just want to serve as best as I can. I'm having a blast doing what I do. Sometimes I wake up and I pinch myself and I can't believe that this is the work that I do. And it's not even work, actually, again, but how did this happen to me? It's like, what a blessing, like, to do what I do and be surrounded by some amazing people. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I learned so much, so much. And here's the other part. Maybe this is a good way to end it. I am so inspired by what I see, because this, at the surface level, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, at the surface level, it seems so chaotic out there. Like many people have lost hope. This is a really weird time to be alive, right? There's so much falling apart, but underneath there's so much coming together. And that's what's amazing. And there's some amazing human beings out there that are ready to do things differently. And some of them don't just want to be told that, hey, the way that you see the world and the way that you want to show up in the world and being this caring, loving, kind human being, even within the corporate world, I'm telling you, this is the way. Yes. And all they need is someone to say, I'm telling you, this is the way. Yes. Don't hide, because the more that we hide, the more that we think, well, it's a ruthless world and we need to show up this way. We need to be competitive and we need to be cutthroat and we need to be aggressive. It's like, I'm telling you, no, there's a more effective way, and more people know it inside of them. But now it's like almost like they have permission. It's like, it's so chaotic out there, and we get to see what that type of way of being has created, that the people that are ready to kind of step out and say, no, I want to be a different type of leader. I want to bring a different way of being into the world. There's a different type of excellence that I want to go towards. And that means more caring, more loving, more kind, more sincere, more genuine, more human. There's something brewing in the background. I see it, and it's beautiful to see. Yeah. So it's very encouraging in the midst of all the chaos, there's something, if you just take the time to look underneath, there's something beautiful taking place.
Order is starting to bubble up from the chaos.
There's from high, I love that. Yeah, and I'm all about high entropy to low entropy.
Yeah.
A lot of it's a cycle. We're in high entropy now, but this high entropy brings a certain level of discomfort, and at the same time you can't like avoid it because the discomfort is really in your face, and the dysfunction is in your face. And there are a lot of people that want to do something about that.
Yes.
And for the longest time they felt alone and misunderstood. And now there's more people coming together. It's like you said, there's order happening underneath that is saying, no, we need more uplifters. So we call, our little thing is, we want people to evolve into becoming an uplifter, where they care about uplifting whoever they come into contact with, or the situation that they find themselves within, and operating from that, from that purpose. There's more of us out there than you can imagine.
Yeah.
We just need to come together, collaborate together, tell each other that this is the way, reconfirm that this is the way forward, even if the world is shouting that it's about division, about competition and aggression and polarization. Forget about that noise, that surface level noise. Go deeper, and there's a lot of people coming together. And so even within the corporate world, and that to me is blowing my mind, because I would have never thought 5 or 6 years ago I'd be doing this type of work within the corporate world, because that's the last place that you would thought that this type of teaching or principles or practices would be welcomed. And I'm living proof that they are welcomed. And so it's amazing.
Thank you so much. That's a perfect way to end. And thank you for spending the time with me and with everyone who's listening. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
I'll put your links below. And awesome. Hopefully we'll have another conversation soon. Thank you.
Anytime. Yep.